Well, hello, 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 hello. I see there are people already joining us and are already here. Hi, Chris and Shannon and Ben and Chris and Trish again. So this is not our normal day. This is not our normal hangout. This is not our normal time. There's a lot of shit going on all over the world, and we've been stressing that this vaping battle, this vaping war, is not just here in the States. So in an effort to show you guys and to discuss it and maybe help our friends, Paul Blamire from Down Under and the Vaping Bogan are joining us tonight to discuss the shit and stuff that's going on down there. We've talked about Australia pretty regularly, so everybody here knows the names of the assholes that we're dealing with. Greg Hunt, or in my case, I like to call him Greg Cunt, but in the Therapeutic Goods Administration, and there's a bunch of other stuff going on. So we're going to bring those two fellas in right now so that we can just jump right into this. No fancy theme music tonight. So there's Paul, and there's the Bogan, the Vaping Bogan.
Dickheads.
Well, yeah, both of you, dickheads. But Paul is a regular here. Paul, everybody knows Paul. And Paul has done a buttload of fucking work for you assholes that were filing your PMTAs. So now it's time for us to help our friends in Australia. And when I say you assholes, don't get butt hurt and whiny about me picking on you. But so Paul, what the fuck's going on down there?
So far, what we know, the TGA is about to make a very large announcement tomorrow, the 23rd of September here in Australia, regarding new legislation that they're trying to put through with a very small window for us to actually fight the new changes. And one of the rumors, and we've now heard this from Professor Michael Moore, that they're looking at a full medicalised system for vaping. Instead of we're already behind the eight ball because we can't manufacture with nicotine here in Australia, so everything's imported. That's the key to it. We drove off a really good fight with Greg Hunt earlier this year where he wanted to ban the importation of nicotine and become a prescription-only model. That was the first thing. We got rid of him pretty quickly when that went down. The next one is this came out of the blue. We weren't ready for this because we had the ban moved to January 1, 2021. But all of a sudden, the TGA wants to play this game now. And it's not an easy task for us here. We've got different bodies behind the scenes working, speaking with lobbyists, speaking with government, but still, to this day, Greg Hunt will not sit down with the industry. He will not talk to stakeholders within the industry. And if you see some of the comments, and especially Chapman, he's been very vocal, very, very vocal in the background now, stating that the whole e-liquid manufacturing side of things here in Australia is actually bathtub liquids and backyard chemists, which... It's not a very nice thing to hear that come out when we know that there are labs set up here in Australia, manufacturing standards. Again, they won't talk about manufacturing standards. There's a lot of different things here that we have problems with, big bad problems. Not good.
Well, it's because they know that they're full of shit. They know that this industry is legit and it is an effective or the most effective way of quitting tobacco products. They know all this. They're trying to ignore it. That's what makes it so obvious. And they deny even sitting down with the industry. You're not even interested in properly, regulating an industry because you don't even want to research and learn about it.
I don't think he can read.
I've actually heard that before, that a regulator doesn't want to sit down with the people that they're going to regulate. That sounds very familiar.
I mean, it's It's the same stuff everywhere in the world. They know the truth, they know the information, and they know that the evidence is there, but they will do their absolute fucking darndest to ignore it.
And he's my friend. He's already opened a bottle.
Well,
Can't do a live show without a beer.
So yeah, this battle. I mean, this is something that we've been following the Australian thing, or at least as an advocate, I have, because I can remember way back when Vince was fighting the system and basically, spent every dollar that he had and more to fight the system back, in 15, and was that 14 and 15 that happened before Vince lost his damn shirt. And I interviewed him back then. So Australia has always been sort of desolate for vaping, and it's always been, as they try to make it as difficult as possible for people to quit smoking, because what does a fucking pack of cigarettes cost down there?
$40 Australian.
And
you'll get about $30 American.
We already know that the actual wholesale price for a pack of cigarettes is like $1.50, probably not even $1.50. And that means that the vast majority of the expense of that pack of cigarettes goes right into the government general fund, because we damn well know that the government does not spend that money that everybody assumes goes to health programs and smoking programs. I'm sure that even in Australia, they're not following any sort of expectation that money's going into the health of the citizens of the country.
It doesn't. $17 billion is what they'll make from cigarette excise tax, in the financial year. And they're not putting $17 billion into fucking health systems or anything. That's the only reason the government's budget is in the black, is because of the cigarette taxes. If they didn't have that $17 billion, the budget would still be in the red. That is the only reason that the government's budget is in any good health, is because of all that cigarette money.
So the same argument, the same bullshit that's going on here is going on down there. I mean, we have the master settlement agreement here, which gives government, state governments all over the country billions of dollars that, people expect that money is going to help people. It doesn't. It goes into the general fund, and these politicians give themselves raises every year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're all still getting their bonuses. They're all still getting their fucking pensions and everything. It's ridiculous. $17 billion. That's an insane amount of money to be making from people dying, basically.
Yeah.
Killing themselves.
I mean, I don't know how many smokers die every year in Australia.
What do we
I mean, I know what our number is right off the top of my head, I've never actually.
The new figure in Australia now is around 21,000.
Okay, so
I thought it was about 20,000 a year.
Yeah, we here it's 480,000. It's 500,000 people here, but I mean, obviously Australia is very large, but there's large areas where there's no people or very few people. But 20,000 people a year. So you can divide that 17. Would you say how much money?
17 billion.
Yeah, divide that 17 billion by the number of people that are dying, and that's how much money they're making for every person in Australia that dies every year for smoking. So we back when Gottlieb was head of the FDA here, he had floated the idea of some sort of pharmaceutical pathway for vaping. Like he was like, well, we might open that pathway up, but I mean, everybody in the chat room that's an American that thought that might be I don't think anybody in the chat room thought that was a good idea, but I mean, just think what could have happened here might happen in Australia. And we damn well know that assholes, regulators, and bullshitters love to try stuff in one place. And if it works, well, let's try it over here because it worked over there. Yeah. So we've been the test bed for certain regulations and certain bullshit that gets to be exported to other countries. And what you guys are experiencing now may be exported to other places if it's successful.
Most likely. Or at least we'll pinch some of it.
It's incumbent upon us to not allow that shit to happen.
Well, we were the ones that started off the plain packaging that ended up in a number of countries now and into Canada. That's one key thing that we've done. The stopping of all cigarette advertising, that also started here in Australia. The sponsorships of sports teams and motor racing, that all got pulled away. That all started here. We had a lot of money being poured into like sporting. Cricket was one with the Benson and Hedges Cup. You know, that was huge. That was worldwide. That got stripped out, and that all came from the Australian government and certain people within the industry behind the scenes. But you're not even seeing the amount of money that we used to see being lobbied through the tobacco companies anymore. The pharmaceutical companies, and possibly the most damaging of all, is the Pharmacy Guild. They are the most powerful lobby group behind the scenes. When they're spending $770,000 a year in political donations, that's the ones that we know about. This doesn't even bring into play the drug companies here, the pharmaceutical and biotech companies that are here in Australia, and the manufacturing of all the products behind the scenes that we export. We do grow cannabis here in Australia, but it's for export only. Medical cannabis for export. Hello?
Australia loves to mine our own shit and then sell it to other countries, but not allow it here, just like uranium.
Yeah. We have one nuclear reactor here in Australia that is specifically used for isotopes for cancer. That's it, and for research.
That's very lucrative.
One reactor.
The rest of it goes to China.
Yep.
So I did throw the link to Legalize Vaping Australia in the chat room. I'm going to slap that on the screen here because this is important. And everybody in the chat room, I know that there's a couple of you in there right now, and there's people that are listening on the podcast later. That is Legalize, legal, LEGALISE, vaping.com.au. There's a little green tab up in the upper right hand corner that has the 6-letter word that is most important and valuable right now. I'm gonna, on the screen, I'm gonna move my mouse right over there, and it says donate. So this is important because this is one thing the Americans listening can do, and the people from all over the world that listen to our show. I know that we have a very good international audience. Click on that donate tab and follow the steps, my friends, because our friends need our help. What goes on here goes on there, and what goes on there goes on here. We cannot allow this shit to continue. So for one thing, we need to help our friends. So I'm challenging everybody in there. $5 American goes a long way in Australia.
And we have Mexican money here, but so, we don't have real money anymore.
Your money, your $5 donation can go a long way down there. Don't send me any money; send it to them. But yeah, that's the deal. Like, we're standing in this shit together because Paul has busted his ass in the PMTA sharing group and helped people as much as he could. So it's time for that pay it forward sort of thing going on. $5. It's not a lot of money. I did see your video, Bogan, about the Australian thing from last week, and you're actually doing some sort of thing too, right?
Yeah. So ATHRA, there's two organizations that are sort of crucial and integral to our fight here in Australia. Obviously, Legalize Vaping, which you've just alluded to, which are doing some fantastic work. But my video was about the support for ATHRA. ATHRA is our independent body, so they're our real main hope, because they can't accept funding from vape companies. They're a completely independent organization that allows us to speak to the government with an independent voice that's not being funded by the industry as such. So they obviously are funding lobbyists and a big TV and radio campaign that will be happening in the next, happening now, but obviously will be crucial when the government drops its announcement tomorrow. So yeah, ATHRA is really the one that I'm pushing people to support. So to gain a little bit more interest and get you guys fucking excited to part with some of your dollars, I'm doing a waffle. I've put up 4 serial number 1 Bonza kits. So the Bonza kit RDA and mod serial number 1, along with a prototype. So five like one of one kind of Bonza kits with every other product that I've designed. So the fucking Ether, the Blotto RTA, the Odin 75 DNA, the 250 DNA, as well as all the Bogan brews, liquids, and some coils from Breeze Tones here in Australia. So hundreds and hundreds of dollars in prizes, 5 bundles. Each of those bundles will include, as I said, all of those products that I've designed. And every $10 that you donate to ATHRA gets you 1 entry. So if you donate $100, you get 10 entries. You can donate as much as you want. And I'll be doing that raffle for the next month or so. And then I'll draw the winners and send them out. Anybody in the world can donate. Anybody in the world can win. You just got to be 21 or older. If you're in America, if you're here in Australia, 18, obviously, or wherever your legal age is for vaping, you've got to be that. But yeah, anywhere in the world, anybody can donate. Any currency, well, it's got to be converted to Aussie dollars. But yeah, $10 will get you a fucking entry. And as I said, as much as you donate, $10.
That's like 10 million rubles, though.
Yeah.
So, but okay. So the current situation, if nothing is announced tomorrow, so we already know that January 1st is coming, right? Mm-hmm. And there was already a fucking shadow over everybody because of January 1st. So what's the situation? If nothing happens between now and January 1st, and January 1st, what happens?
Well, effectively what they're doing is bringing forward the January 1st deadline, with what we expect them to announce tomorrow. Part of ATHRA's role is having some ears within the system, within the government, which they do through their lobby networks. And the word is that, it'll be tomorrow. They'll hand down this new decision, which will then have a very small window of time for the government basically then to sort of vote on it. And that's where we need to be hitting the politicians. So for now, we just need your money. As of tomorrow, when we have the sort of official announcement, then we can start getting people to actually call their politicians, call their members, email their members, and we want to really push that, not just for one day, but consistently over the next couple of weeks, is just heaps of phone calls to get these ministers aware of what it is that they're actually voting on. And that's where this big TV and radio campaign is going to come in, is because we're not only needing to educate the public on what the government is doing, but also these politicians. These guys don't know what it is that they're being asked to make a decision on. They don't know what the government's plans will actually do and the impacts that they'll have on vapors, on smokers. So we really need to be hitting them with the ads and the campaign from ATHRA, but also our own phone calls and emails.
I'm naughty, aren't I? I'm going to start melting his phone lines anyway. But Sam, let's rewind a little bit and explain what happened in South Australia already.
South Australia banned online sales completely for vapor, or basically in South Australia, you can't sell cigarettes online. It's one of the few states where you can't. In Victoria and New South Wales, you can buy your smokes online from your supermarkets and have them delivered. In South Australia, pre-existing legislation prevented tobacco sales online. But obviously vapor products were not classified as a tobacco product and were able to be sold online. The state government of South Australia changed legislation a bit over 12 months ago, basically putting all vapor products lumping them in with tobacco products, which meant that nobody in South Australia who was previously buying their products online can do that anymore. They have to go to a brick and mortar store. You can still sell vapor products in store, but phone and internet sales are banned. So there are a lot of people that previously had access via the internet to get their products, now can't buy their products. They can still buy internationally, but they can't buy from anyone in Australia online. So that really hit the South Australian industry hard and made it pretty difficult for a lot of people that relied on internet orders.
Okay, so people currently can buy zero e-liquid and nick it up with imported nicotine, right?
Correct.
But that's imported nicotine from somewhere else. This online ban would prevent that from, well, a nicotine importation ban is going to make that impossible.
So that's a little different. That's the federal, government basically coming in and saying that no more imports. And that was the sort of the gray area loophole that we had, was that even though you couldn't sell or supply nicotine products in Australia, you could import it. So you could buy from New Zealand, add the nicotine to your Australian liquid, and off you go. It meant that it was a bit more of a head fuck, and definitely put a lot of people off, but the industry could still grow and people could still get their nicotine and quit that way. When they bring in, if they bring in, which they're trying to do, this ban on importations, that's going to cut off every Australian from nicotine outside of this pharmaceutical plan. So
and they still don't have that plan created, right? They don't actually have that's infrastructure or anything.
None of the doctors
set up.
know anything about nicotine prescription. None of them know anything about nicotine replacement therapy when used in a vaping device. Sure, they know about patches and gums, but they don't know anything about vapor products. No GPs do. A lot of GPs have been misinformed by the Lung Association of Australia, for example, pumping out all sorts of bullshit propaganda, completely unfounded claims about what vaping does. And doctors are believing it. There are doctors out there in Australia that believe that vaping products are as bad as cigarettes, which is ridiculous.
We did a story last week, and this was American doctors, but 80% of doctors polled actually believed that nicotine causes cancer.
Which is just absolutely insane that someone who's been to university and has a medical degree actually thinks that nicotine causes cancer. Like, there is zero evidence, even from the most biased of studies, to suggest that nicotine causes cancer or any of that sort of. It's just ridiculous.
But so, I mean, I'm not saying this is a fact, but I'm pretty sure that there's probably some misinformed doctors in Australia that may
absolutely and
may
we know
have that same bullshit assumption in their fucking head. So yeah, I mean, if the pharmacies don't have the supplies of nicotine that vapors want, and the doctors don't know how to implement or write a prescription or understand what they're supposed to even put on the script so that Australian vapors can go to their pharmacy and get whatever their allowed allotment is. If none of this shit is put in place, then how in the hell does the Australian government expect this to work?
Exactly.
I have an answer. I mean, I don't know your government as well as I know my government, but if our government pulled this shit, it wouldn't be that they didn't know. It would be that they did know that it wasn't going to fucking work, and they did it anyway just to shaft people.
Of course.
And to get their fucking tax money. I see that there's people in the chat room. John Barnes says, "Hey, Bogan, been sharing the fuck out of your video and getting people behind Athra. Hashtag vaping with super clouds."
That's it, dude. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, share it around, guys. Spread it around. Get anybody to donate.
If you're on Twitter,
they need that independent funding. They can't come from 20 grand from an e-liquid manufacturer. Right. It's got to be independently donated. If you're a shop watching, you can support, but you can't support from your business account. You got to make it your own personal money.
So I'm going to ask you guys a favor in the chat room. So if you go over to Twitter, you can see the stream is over on Twitter, and it's very anemic. I know that our Twitter usually grows on replays, but I really want you guys to go and retweet this at Greg or Mike. Greg Hunt. I'm sorry, Greg Hunt. I was going to say Mike Hunt.
You're thinking of that joke, the brothers Mike and York Hunt.
Yes. So go and retweet his scrawny ass so that he can hear and see the things that we're saying about him, because I don't like him and I don't even live in his country. So
well, I absolutely hate him, and I do live in this country.
You do, and I'm pretty sure Bogan does. But yeah, the more times he gets tagged and he gets to see our ugly faces, he's gonna probably get a little upset. But yeah, so keep tagging his scrawny ass.
His secretary's starting to block certain players now. We also have problems here with Cancer Council here in Australia, the Lung Foundation. They're playing games now as well. Those
are what we call the public health corporations. Those are not public health. Those are public health corporations.
It's crazy to me that an organization that's meant to be about improving people's health and educating people on the realities of what they're putting in their bodies and everything else can say that, basically vaping and making up lies, just straight out lies. It's unbelievable that they can be so corrupted to do that.
Well, I mean, if you look in the dictionary under corrupt, there's a picture of politicians. So,
yeah. Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, it's not surprising. It's not surprising. It is, I say unbelievable, and that's probably not the right word because it's absolutely believable. We've seen it so many times. It's disgusting. It's just, it is disgusting to see this sort of shit.
So, yeah, I mean, it is quite redonkulous.
Yeah, I agree. So, I agree with that, Bill. There's something for you to do, Sam. Bill Tarling is saying a smaller edited version without the waffle details to protect some of the groups. So, and then we could share that around and put that viral as well.
Sure.
That'd be something that we could do as well.
Once I'm allowed to stream, once I'm allowed to do videos again, I'm on a
you got a fucking YouTube ban.
Did you
asshats?
Did you say something that hurt somebody's feelings?
No, I didn't. I just did a review 2 years ago. What is it? The Wake mod or something from a year and a half ago. And flagged as promoting with the intent to sell harmful or dangerous goods. Obviously, the whole nicotine thing. But there's no links in the description to any vapor products. I'm not spruiking. I'm trying to sell something of my own. It's just a normal review, completely unpaid and unbiased, and YouTube's flagged it. I don't know, maybe I'll have it removed. It got appealed, but who knows with YouTube? I'm not expecting much, but I can't do anything for a week.
Luckily, we don't sell anything here. We don't promote anything here. We don't review anything here. All
doesn't matter. YouTube will they'll just give you a strike because they're fucking shit.
I'm actually looking at I'm actually on a side note, I'm actually looking at a decentralized social media service that's called Mastodon.
We've looked at a few of these before, and the problem is the reality is they're never going to be anywhere near as big as exposure as YouTube.
No, it's definitely not. No, I'm just talking about for us, for everybody that wants to be in the cool kids club. We can actually have our own place. I've looked at different social media platforms to have vapors go to, but this is actually already a well-established service, and they have all sorts of stuff on there.
Cool.
We're gonna look at that. Maybe not today. It only costs like $9 a month to have your own server. So that might be something we're going to look at. Or euros, €9, I should say.
That's pretty cheap. It's about the same American dollars, euros.
Yeah. So we're going to look into that because eventually they're going to take all of our places away that we can run to. So I'm not a big fan of that. But, now I have to wait for him to come back.
Beer run.
Oh, now he's got his regular.
Lucky I have a special beer fridge not far from my place of business.
Mine is actually right beside my foot. But mine is whiskey. It's not beer. So
that's easy. You don't have to worry about keeping that cool.
No, I do.
No. Some of the stuff he's got, you need to keep it cool.
I do like to have my 12-year-old rye.
Did you hear about that kid who every birthday his family or whatever would give him a 16? I think he got a 16-year-old bottle of scotch or something like that every birthday, and he didn't open them obviously because he's until he was 18, and his collection when he was I think got to in his 20s 40,000 pounds, which is about 50 odd thousand American, is what his collection's worth.
Yeah.
Shit.
Patrick, that wouldn't survive. He'd drink it.
I'd drink it.
Yeah. This kid was good. Apparently, didn't drink it. Got some really old scotches.
I'm not into this like investment thing. I'm in this for the winning.
Oh yeah, you want to taste it.
Fuck that saving it shit. But
the kid's got a house deposit though. He's set.
Well, yeah. Be drunk.
You take the whiskey over the house deposit. Give me the fucking whiskey.
I'll earn my money. I'll earn my money for the house deposit. But
question. One question, Sam. What do you think these new rules are going to do to the DIY community that's been steadily growing here in the background for a number of years?
Turn it into a black market.
Yeah.
The DIY is not going to... The guys that have been DIYing for 5-6 years or whatever, they're not going to stop vaping. They're going to stockpile to begin with, which a lot of people already have stockpiled. And then when that stockpile runs out in a year or two, there's going to be a black market. There's absolutely going to be a black market for nicotine. There's already a black market in states around America. I was reading an article from Vice, and some of the guys from Legion we were talking about this the other day. And there are dudes in New York selling simply just flavored e-liquid. It's not even about the nicotine. There's not even a drug involved that's illegal there. It's just flavored. Flavors are banned, and there are guys selling strawberry macaroons out of their boot of their car, and they've got burner phones, and they're acting like drug dealers just to help people quit smoking. So it'll happen here if this goes through. The same thing will happen. But it's more concerning as what it's going to do to all the smokers that would have had access.
So I've said this forever. People that already have found vaping love you, but I don't give a shit about you. I mean, you guys already have sources. If you haven't, you've made friends on social media.
If you're a hobbyist, if
you're a current vapor, you're going to be able to continue to vape. And we've already showed in America how easy it will be because the deeming language does not address ordering online from out of the country, period. Yeah. So though you people are going to be taken care of. You guys are fine. My concern
shipping to Americans, don't worry.
My concern is the 48 million smokers that are still in the United States. Yeah. I don't know what the numbers are in Australia, but I'm concerned about them. I'm concerned about.
You're still looking at a 20, just under 20% smoking rate. So on a 24 million population, you're still looking at well over 1 million smokers.
And God, I cry. I mean, I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. I've actually spent time worrying about Indian vapors. Like, yeah, I actually give a damn about those guys. And those guys are passionate vaping advocates. If you watch the Indian Association's Vape Day, World Vape Day video, yeah, I feel for those guys. I mean, shit, they closed their businesses at night to go to go home, and the next morning their fucking doors were padlocked.
Yeah,
that's what we're worried about here, actually.
So
depending on how far they take this and what the actual time frame is, and if they shut us out of negotiations with the TGA and scare it, we've got your name at number 2. Bottom line is, we're coming after you and the board of the TGA as well, because you're not doing the right thing. You won't even talk to us. You give us a half-baked answer, and by the way, your website does not work properly. 100%. It's just like the FDA. They must have the same coder working for each department.
Well, I mean, they probably paid a coder in 1980, and they haven't updated it since. But
they gave a contract, a 50-year contract.
Yeah, Rob Randisk has a question in the chat. He says, "Is tobacco-free nicotine included in the Australian regulation?"
TFN falls directly under pharmaceutical. The TFN is actually used in all of the patches, sprays, gums.
Yeah, they're using synthetic stuff there already, aren't they?
Yeah. So and for the Americans, the rules are different. Obviously, in America, we got deemed a tobacco product. Nicotine got deemed, or vaping got deemed as a tobacco product. In Australia, their rules are not the same as ours. So
well, they did it on state level. They made it tobacco product here in South Australia, but the federal level they could do whatever they bloody want.
So yeah, and I'll be perfectly honest. I don't think that TFN is actually going to get the squeak by that they think they are in the States. So we'll see. Because
the whole, can you just use synthetic nicotine in the US to bypass this thing? That won't work. It won't work.
It won't work. I'm pretty sure. I'm not an attorney, but I actually have sound clips of Zeller in 2014, essentially saying we feel like we can regulate that as a tobacco product, just like we will the natural stuff. So I don't know. But
the government's not going to let you just slide through with a synthetic. They did it with marijuana. Like, you think you're going to, we'll make a synthetic fucking cocaine. It'll be sweet. Of course they're going to shut that down.
Yeah. So you might get by for a little while until they wise up. But I think that
months. Yeah.
I think that they're gonna wrap all that shit up. But
that's not what it is. Race. That's not what we should focus on at all.
No, we don't. I mean, we don't need to be like, telling everybody there's a loophole here, there's a loophole there. We should be worried about.
Not going to save the industry, that's what I mean. We've got to fix this at the foundation, not just try and band-aid solution it with a loophole. How long is that going to last before it's closed?
Mm-hmm. So this article is from Planet of Vapes, and this is actually been shared around a couple places, but it's a pretty good piece. Paul, why don't you talk about this piece real quick? I'll throw it on screen.
Yeah. Okay, so for the people that don't know, Coalition for the Asia Pacific Harm Advocates, CAPFRA, believes Australia is going, completely and utterly backwards. The person behind that organisation, Nancy Lucas, I tagged her to see if she could see this actual video. She's been very vocal with what's going on here in the background. She knows that there's rumblings. She knows that we're in trouble here. New Zealand has just recently allowed the sale and regulation of nicotine-based products and vaping, and a lot of our Australian liquids, are actually manufactured in New Zealand. When South Australia had their ban come into play for online sales, a couple of the bigger manufacturers moved to New Zealand to start manufacturing, and they moved out of state to help keep going with their business models. There's a number of them now based in Victoria. Keep scrolling down into this. If people can purchase cigarettes, loose tobacco, cigars at retails, but a reduced product, they don't understand THR here either. I don't think Greg Hunt knows what those three little letters mean. THR is tobacco harm reduction. That's what we're trying to do here. The business model for vaping isn't a very smart one if you think about it. We get people off combustible cigarettes, we move them across into vaping technology, or any form of vaping technology. I don't care. It's all still THR. Then some of them actually give up and they stop vaping. So it's not a very good business model. We're just trying to help people get off combustibles. But the government here just keeps ignoring everything that has been going on. They do not care. There's a very large conference going on right now. It's a virtual conference this year, and it's the nicotine conference over in, where am I? The guest speakers from all over the world. Just one second. Yeah. The GTNF. And you got to hear some of the comments. It's actually mind-blowing, some of the comments that are coming out and all pointing their fingers at Australia. The other problem that we have here is the none of our health ministers are actual doctors. The only one that has any chemistry or any pharma knowledge whatsoever is a vitrologist. Oh, and the other one that's actually a physical education teacher here in Australia. But I want to do a little role. I want to do it. I actually
world.
No. Well, I actually want to do a little bit of a roll call, okay, of all the different health ministers and what their actual qualifications are, because this is going to shed a whole lot of light on how stupid the Australian system is.
We're just unqualified.
Oh, well, yeah, that too, Sam. But here's the thing, right? We'll go through from the federal health minister down and then through all the different states, because it's quite hilarious what some of these people, their qualifications, yet they hold the portfolio of the health minister in their state. It doesn't make fucking sense anymore. We have a Liberal government here, which is the complete opposite to what's going on in the United States. And these guys, it's all profit before the people. We must sell everything. We must do this, and this. And then, but you fuck the country up. And by the looks of it, you can't read.
So, I mean, we have a Surgeon General that's an actual doctor who's a fucking idiot in the United States.
The damage that has been done by him is just mind blowing.
You have a health minister. What is Greg Hunt's qualifications? What is he?
Lawyer.
Okay,
he's a fucking lawyer.
Hunt. Hang on. Let's do a federal roll call. Right, this is going to be hilarious. Sam, please don't fall off your chair, because when I get through these, everyone's just going to be scratching their heads, going, "What in fuck's name is happening?" Okay, our federal health minister, the illustrious Greg Hunt, no, not on my watch. Right, he went to the Melbourne Law School. Then he went off to the United States, to Yale, as a Fulbright scholar. Okay. where he obtained a Masters of Arts in International Relations. Fucking seriously? Right. That's our federal health minister. Go back to fucking Yale and stay there. We don't want you anymore.
We don't want that bastard over here.
Oh, we'll send him somewhere. Send him with Abbott, and we'll send him back to the UK, right? Anywhere. We'll send him anywhere, right? We're going to get a boat, and we're just going to fucking float all over the planet and drop dickheads off, right? That's how we're going to do it.
Offload
New South Wales. Then we have Brad Hazard, right? His name says it all. He's a fucking hazard. He has, get this, he's got a Bachelor of Arts, diploma of education, and a Bachelor of Law. So he can draw a picture, he's a fucking school teacher, and then he's a lawyer on top of it. Right, we got you covered. You're a muppet. Next, we go over to Western Australia. We've got Roger Cook, right? He's got a Bachelor of Arts degree in public administration and a Masters of Business Administration. So Are you the one over there, Roger Cook, cooking the books for the rest of the government right now? Are you that is actually doing all the
Roger
paperwork?
Cock.
Oh,
I thought you said
okay.
Roger Cock. So
yeah, okay, yeah. Well, Dick Cock.
Your accent.
Your
accent. You know.
Right. Okay. And then we get to Jenny Mikolos, Mikakos, right? She's down in Victoria. She has an arts and law degree. It's mind blowing. South Australia is my favourite one out of all of them. We've got Stephen Wade, right? Stephen Wanker, we're going to call him. His degree is in fucking law and economics, so he must be cooking the books as well, right? And then Queensland, we have Stephen Miles. He has a PhD and a Bachelor of Political Science and Journalism. So, right, he's the spin doctor. Now we know who the spin doctor is for this industry that they're fucking cooking up everywhere. Then we're off to Tasmania, and we've got Sarah Courtney. She's an Australian financial analyst and a viticulturist. which, in other words, that's winemaking for the dumb people. Right? So she makes wine, right? So she's always drunk down there. Don't worry about her, right? Then we get to the Northern Territory. This is where it gets the funniest of all. Natasha Files. She is a physical education teacher and a fucking swimming coach. Really? In the Northern Territory. So we need a swimming coach in the middle of bumfuck Idaho for what? Okay, sure. Swimming's fun, but I think you're in the wrong planet. And then ACT, right? They've even got a health minister down there too. I understand, Shannon, but we're having a little bit of fun right now. Rachel Stevens-Smith, right, down in, oh, what the hell? Jerome Adams. Oh, dear God. Rachel Stevens-Smith, and her qualifications are the ANU, Australian National University, and she studied economics. These are our health ministers of Australia.
So you have all these health ministers, and none of them have any health credentials at all.
No, none of them have been a doctor.
Possibly,
you think you'd have a fucking doctor
possibly the PE coach, but I mean, really, it sounds to me like a bunch of doctors, a bunch of bookkeepers,
yep,
and maybe a journalist in there.
Yeah, we've got a spin doctor. We do have a spin doctor in there. And Queensland is one of the roughest. They've actually got a job in a vapor hotline if they think that you've got nicotine in your vape. Great.
Wow. Yeah. See, it is. I mean, obviously, like I said, we have the most awful Surgeon General we've ever had. We've been trying to get him fired for 6-8 months, a year, whatever. But at least he does have some sort of medical credentials.
Correct.
I mean, obviously, Stanton Glantz wins the award for the out of his area of expertise. I mean, he's a mechanical engineer. He calls himself a rocket scientist, but he writes research papers or because these are not really. He doesn't do any science. All he does is read science that other people have done and play with the stats, play with the numbers. He does, he's a specialist in meta-analysis and meta-studies, which just means that he reads other people's information and releases it with his own spin. So we've been seeing quite a lot of him having, or not him, because he won't actually come out and publicly do it, but the people that have published his studies are actually retracting them now. But we've not seen him apologize. And obviously, we have seen him announce that he's retiring from the university. But I will say this again. He's not going anywhere. He's privatizing his expertise, and he will be considered an expert witness, and he will be traveling all over the world, appearing in front of parliaments, in front of legislative bodies all over the world, and here in America, pushing for bans on these products and making a lot of money. That is what I mark my words. That is what he's going to do in his retirement from academia, is get checks. And, we already know that he was in New Zealand last October.
We still think that either someone from our health ministry went to New Zealand to meet with him, or he was here in Australia, but we can't verify that.
Well, we can see this. We can see his words being said, coming out of other people's mouths now.
It's, the big thing with Glantz, though, is he's actually having some of his studies or some of what he said and his papers actually being redacted because it's full of shit.
Well, his studies have been retracted, but it doesn't matter.
The damage is done.
Once they're widely circulated and they're on the internet, we've actually, obviously, I saw your guy, Greg Hunt, on TV in Australia regurgitating American talking points and talking about the American youth epidemic vape epidemic, and the reason that they have to, legislate the vaping industry out of business in Australia is because the youth vaping epidemic in America.
Correct. Logan, to answer that question, tomorrow we're getting draft legislation handed down by the TGA. The deadline is still January 1 for importation of nicotine, but they're looking at a full farmer type system. It's not fun. And I'll say sorry to the rest of the world, but please don't look at Australia for advice right now, because we're not doing the right thing. 100%. If this goes through, this is going to send shockwaves. That's for a start.
Yeah, it's it'll ruin the industry. If there's no more nicotine imports, it will ruin the industry properly, because you're going to get all these people.
Oh yeah, here he goes trying to
God.
God, I didn't think you'd dig that one up.
Is it that hard? Yeah. Is it that hard, mate?
Yeah, but this is all over Twitter.
Yeah, these are people that was actually posted in response to the live stream. Somebody posted that tagged me in it. So
yeah, well, we've done all kinds of things to try and rattle his cage, but
that's from the Northern Territories.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me at all. They've got a physical education teacher up there running the show. So yeah, it's quite funny.
Charlie McCracken is in the chat room, and he says, cheer up, guys. Anti-vaping clowns cannot win their war on vaping in the long run. Truth wins. Which I am quite confident that a decade from now we might be victorious. And it may be less than that, but I still care about the 60, 70, and 80-year-old smokers that won't transition, won't try to find vaping, won't even consider it because of all the bullshit that we've been having to deal with in every country in the United States. Every time there's a vaping story, if you go to Google right now and type in vaping, in the news search, you're going to get inundated with COVID-19 and vaping stories and youth epidemic and vaping stories. And you guys have done a great job in Australia with your having, with the, process of buying zero nic and having to drop nicotine in it. But how many people, in the States at least, that whole process is sketchy. It looks sketchy to most senior citizens and older people in the United States. And most of them feel like, that they're doing something wrong if they have to add something to it. So, if that were here, if that were the business model that we had to use here, we would lose out on all of those seniors, because, it does to them in their mind. If they have to buy something and then order the nicotine clandestinely online and then go home and try to figure out a way to put it in the bottle. I can just tell you that here in America, at least, the older people would feel like they're doing something wrong. And most of them,
absolutely.
most of them wouldn't do it. And I don't know how that is down there. Yeah, it's definitely.
Sure, yeah. You're going to have your elderly people going, oh, well, if the government won't allow you to sell it here, it must be bad, then they won't order it from New Zealand, even though it's a completely safe product and legal over there. Because the Australian government doesn't allow it, it puts this stigma, and they go, oh, well, that doesn't sound legitimate and very good, and they won't do it.
So, all of these anti-vaping campaigns and stuff, they may be trying, in their mind, they may be doing the right thing in helping the kids. But, at least here, and I'm fairly sure in Australia, it's illegal for a minor to buy these products already anyway. Right. The argument is here as it is there. You already have the tools in your toolbox. Use them. You don't need new rules if you just enforce the rules that you have.
But that's another thing that's not working here. the government hasn't shown a strong hand in any way, shape, or form when it comes to tobacconists that are selling under-the-counter products. They don't care. We have shipping containers full of illegal cigarettes hitting our shores. They don't care about that as well. You look at what they did in South Australia with the online sales bans, and you have people that live in regional Australia, and the only way they can get their products is via an electronic order. When they stopped that, a lot of people went back to smoking cigarettes. Now, some of these people live 2 and 3 hours from any major city. We're not playing games here. The majority of our population, or if you were to take the landmass of Australia and overlay it on North America, it's the same landmass. But we have 26 million people that live in this country. You have 330 million that live in the United States. The reason that is because a lot of Australia is uninhabitable. It's desert. It's sheer. There's nothing between, here and, 50 miles, 100 miles, 200 miles. If you fly from one side of Australia to the other, it's a 6-hour flight. There you go. It's the same.
You only live on the edges.
Yeah, we live on the coastlines mainly, except for the big cattle stations. And that's another whole political minefield to go into, because Australia keeps selling everything to China. Oh, well.
Well, I know that when I go to the Philippines, that all the beef that we're getting is from Australia and New Zealand. So,
correct.
Yeah.
But the misinformation that the government's actually putting out here, and it's quite interesting with Hunt, because the key components and the key parts of where he actually sticks his head in, or like into the conversations, he makes it very clear, not on my watch, and he says it's an on-ramp to smoking cigarettes, not an off-ramp. He misinforms the public of who he's actually spoken to in the United States, when he turned around and he said, I spoke to Scott Gottliebson of the EPA, and I went, who the hell are you? Honestly? You said that on national TV. You spoke to Scott Gottliebson of the EPA. Right. The Labor Party here. EPA. Yeah, I know. Environmental Protection Agency. What the fuck has that got to do with the FDA?
I want to know who Scott Gottliebson is.
Yeah, I know. Same here. I could never find his name. I looked everywhere through your registers. There isn't no Scott Gottliebson. So he's off with the fairies on that one. And then whoever is his ministers, whoever is feeding him this data and information, needs to seriously go back to school. We know that in South Australia we have a professor down there that also sits on the WHO board. We know that for a fact, and that a lot of his rubbish comes through his office. The other thing is we're a signatory to the FCTC model, right? Which we shouldn't be. That's something else that's destroying everyone around the world. It's the stupidest thing ever.
Well, there's a reason why every year they do the Framework Convention Treaty on Tobacco gathering, that they don't let anybody in. There has to be a reason why the press and the public are not allowed to attend those meetings. And even the big media outlets are allowed in for the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then they're escorted out. What the fuck is going on behind those doors that you don't want anybody to know about?
Oh, when we got some of the leaked documents, remember when we got our hands on them, the leaked documents a couple of years ago? And it actually showed what was going on and how they played it out. We have pharmaceutical and biotech companies here in Australia, which the government loves to promote, because they would love to invest in that side of things rather than invest in people's health, which hurts me. Logan, yeah. Well, secret agendas, Logan. They've all got secret agendas. Logan knows what's going on. Everything's behind closed doors. Yet the current forum that's going on, they're looking at Australia and just shaking their head. Dr. Mawaya Glover came out and absolutely slammed Australian policy on what's going on here. Nancy Lucas has done the same thing. When Clive Bates speaks, oh my God, he's going to tear Australian politics to shreds. Then there's
Bates, good old Batesy. He'll rip it up.
Well, John Barnes, Bogan for Federal Health Minister. Jesus Christ.
I'm about as qualified as the other fucking bunch.
That's true. I mean,
honestly,
are you a lawyer or a PE coach?
I got a first aid course. That should get me in.
That's more than the attorney probably has.
Probably more than most of those other fucks, to be honest.
Oh Jesus!
And I know that you're fit because you play soccer every Saturday.
Yeah. We've got one more game, then I'm unfit for the next 6 months.
So, yeah, I mean, this whole situation, I mean, it does sound like alien to us in America because we think that we have some sort of representative democracy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The sarcasm was supposed to be thick on that. But we have the illusion that we have some sort of representative democracy, and we have the illusion that our health people are some sort of scientists or some sort of doctors. No. You guys, are those appointed or elected positions?
They're actually
ministers. They're all appointed.
Yeah, correct.
By who?
The government. So you vote the government in, and then the government decides which ministers they're going to put in those portfolios.
It's quite funny.
Yeah, I mean that.
So you vote in a party because in Australia you don't vote for a president, like you do in the US. You vote, for a party, Liberal, Labor, National, whatever, and then once that government's in, they then decide to, delegate their cabinet in terms of who's going to have the role. So, yeah, the Australian public really has no say over what the government chooses in terms of the people they put in charge of those roles.
So you're definitely not a representative democracy then.
I wouldn't. I mean, no. They say that it is, but really, when you break it down, no. You choose a party, and then you hope that party doesn't.
So how does it's prime minister, right? How does the prime minister get elected?
Again, by the party. So the party will put up a leader. So, at the moment we have Scott Morrison as the prime minister. He has been elected by the members of his party to be the leader for that party. And the crazy thing is, and this is what's happened in the past, and this is what blows the minds of Americans, I think, is that we'll have a prime minister elected as part of the Liberal Party. They get elected for 4 years, that party, Liberal in charge for 4 years. But if they decide halfway through that 4 years or anywhere in that 4 year period that the person they chose to be the leader of the party isn't popular enough with the people, they will change the leader. Just change them. So you can be midway through a government term and change prime minister more than once without having an election.
Yeah, they overthrow the prime minister and put in a new one.
Basically, if you think that you can do a better job than the guy that's the leader of the party, and you convince enough of your friends within that party to give you support, you can just chuck that prime minister out and put a new one in.
So it sounds like a popular, or like a buddy system.
It ends up being like musical fucking prime ministers where, you put one guy in and then they take him out because he's not popular, and they put another guy in, and then, they're not doing a good job and the public doesn't like him apparently. We're going to swap him out again because they're worried that if they get to an election, they're not going to be in a position to get reelected because people don't like the guy they put in charge.
Yep.
This sounds alien to us,
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, there's no consistency for sure in that system.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we did start as a prison colony here, and I don't think we've gotten out of that yet. We can take swipes at people, but we've also got other chatter coming out of government now that because of what we did to Greg Hunt last time, come October when there's a cabinet reshuffle, we might be able to get rid of him. If we can get rid of him, that'd be beautiful. But then again, we've then got to massage whoever gets into play, so we can work with them. But we don't know. We really don't know. We have the Australian Medical Association stating on one hand that vaping is good, and on the other hand, they're not stating it's good. We've had doctors, actually proper physicians, walk away from the AMA because of the misinformation that the AMA is now handing down, even on regular medications. There's problems all over the place. Logan, I really hope not, mate, because if we get another one that's like Hunt, I actually think we're going to get worse next time round, and even more hardline type federal health minister. That could be someone else. I can't name any health ministers in recent years that are good at all vapor in Northern Territory. No, it's hard. It is ever so hard to try and get any sense into the current political system that we have here. It's pay to play. That's what it's all about. The exposure and the corruption within our system is just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, we can't do anything.
It's the same everywhere, but the Australian system, I think, gives us sort of even less power to affect change because they can do so much without having anything voted on. Like they're trying at the moment, because they know that it's going to be hard for them to get a lot of this support through proper new legislation. They're trying to amend existing legislation by reclassifying nicotine as a Section 4 poison. So they don't have to change any. They don't have to bring in new legislation. They just change existing stuff, basically it's like changing the rules midway through a game. It's just sneaky way of them getting what they want done without actually going through the normal democratic process, which would involve new legislation that gets explored and properly analysed within both houses of the government so that they can amend the legislation and get it to a point where everybody in the government agrees that it works. And they're just trying to skip all of that and be very undemocratic.
Pippa asked you a question. I'm not going to put it on screen, but Pippa asked you a question in the chat room. She's going to be reaching out to you on private message. Sam. Pippa Star.
Oh yes. I did get told about what Pippa was doing, and I just haven't had time to chat to her about it. But yeah. They shared that in my Patreon group. I think there's a bunch of my Patreons that jumped on board with that. Good stuff, Pippa. Keep it up.
The other key part that we have here is Greg Hunt actually enlisted a study to be undertaken. He threw 750,000 Australian dollars at it. Professor Michael Moore is in charge of it at Australian National University. And the study, it's taken 2 years for this study to be put together. And in that time, we haven't even had a halfway report, midway report, whatever. This is being released in December, yet Greg Hunt wants to do this in September. So hang on a second. We're missing a couple of months here, or someone can't count or do accounting. We would like to see what is in that report. And then still, December to January, we've got a couple of minutes, a couple of weeks to then act upon it before the imposed bans in January 1. Well, nothing makes sense.
So, I mean, they pulled that here, though. You remember when Gottlieb was still the head of the FDA and came out with all of this anti-vaping rhetoric and stuff and said that he had been given the early numbers from the Youth Tobacco Survey and
the early numbers.
All this, this is bad. The numbers are bad. Do you know that? Do you remember we just talked about this on Friday night, Paul?
Yeah.
The American Youth Tobacco Survey came out, and there was a huge decline in
magically
youth
overnight.
usage, and
Overnight.
those numbers were, to be completely transparent, those numbers were collected prior to the COVID-19 shutdown, which obviously, if parents are doing their job and their kids are staying at home during a pandemic, those numbers are going to be even lower if they do that survey again now. So obviously, it doesn't matter what that study that Hunt financed or Hunt put through. It doesn't matter, because obviously he can legislate and do anything he wants, and nobody's going to call him on his bullshit, because it's not like we can call Scott Gottlieb on his bullshit now that after he disappeared and went back into working for the big pharma companies, that we can say, hey, Matt, you lied and you used this for justification prior to the release of that data, and that data is out now, and it says exactly the opposite of what you said it said.
But they're doing this behind the scenes. Hunt comes out with this thing tomorrow in the TGA, trying to do the reclassification of nicotine and a full pharmaceutical model. If that's the case, bypassing the study that comes out in December, and then that's only going to shore up what he wants to do January, right? Yeah, they're not studies. You're right, Bill. They're biased, put together. I'd love to see how much crap data from the United States and other countries is actually in there. They're going
to use Stanton Glance's bullshit meta-analysis and republish something that he already had retracted. And once, like I said, once it's out in the world, every public health group will just regurgitate, well, we have a study here that shows blah, blah, blah. And nobody ever calls them on their bullshit. Nobody ever says, oh, by the way, you do realize that study was retracted because it was conducted very poorly. The study was modeled badly, or was, it was tested badly, or whatever. Doesn't matter, because once it's out in the world, it doesn't matter what it says.
We also have the Western Australian Cancer Council coming out still with the formaldehyde rhetoric, and they're saying that we don't know how much. Another one came out stating we don't know how much diacetyl is actually in the liquids. I went, seriously? Are you guys serious? Come on. Heavy metals. Yeah, I like to listen to heavy metal, but there's no heavy metals in my liquids, right? Someone also said that, and I said, your glycols, the list of glycols that they came out with, I said, you need to go back to chemistry school. You really do, because if you don't understand the difference in your glycols, you got a serious problem. And then the outdated machine that they're actually using to test said products, and an old silica wicked get up and sitting there drawing on it for 20 seconds. Hello, you're gonna do damage to whatever system you're playing with.
We're gonna put a 1.2 ohm coil in there, and we're gonna run it at 400 watts. And we're only going to put 4 or 5 drops of e-liquid in there. Of course, we're going to get formaldehyde. Of course, we're going to get, all sorts of bullshit and crap. And, obviously, that's how they do it. I mean, A, they don't understand the technology, and B, they don't want to understand it so that they can get the results that they desire.
Well, okay. Let's bring back the Pharmacy Guild again. Under the PBS, or the prescription system that we have here in Australia, the Pharmacy Guild over each 5-year period gets subsidies from the government. Before COVID, it was around $17 billion every 5 years that the Pharmacy Guild got in kickbacks from the government. This isn't even bringing in the drug companies into play right now and all the kickbacks they get. Then it's magically gone up to $20 billion. And then we had Greg Hunt come out the other day with the COVID vaccine that we need 84 million doses of the COVID vaccine. Hang on a second. There's 26 million of us here. What are we doing with the rest of them? They do have a shelf life.
Even if it's a 2-shot regime, some of the protocols are it's a 2-shot regime. That's still more than what you would need. Yeah,
I know, but it's got a shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's another thing. And here's an even better one. We used to have a peak science body here in Australia called the CSIRO, right, which was government funded and did a lot of research into numerous types of scientific things. And they're also the ones, or it was a section of their department that actually came up with Wi-Fi many, many moons ago.
Yeah.
Yes, Australia created Wi-Fi.
It did.
That government, or our government, the LNP, or Liberal National Party, were the ones that actually stripped out the funding for the CSIRO and destroyed it in a matter of 12 to 18 months. Stripped out the funding and broke that whole government body apart that have been there for God knows how many years, right? Then, with this vaccine hoo-ha, all of a sudden, CSL, a private contractor coming in to manufacture said vaccines for us. And they're paying them how much? For what? And we need, 84.4 million doses of said vaccine. How or why? Nothing is making sense in this country. This is corporate Australia.
Yeah.
So I just found another news piece from the Australian.com.au. I threw the link in the chat, but this is a coronavirus retailer fury at vape pharmacy sale plan.
Yep.
Retailers have urged the Morrison government to scrap its plan to sell vaping products in pharmacies with prescription, warning the deliberate exclusion of small businesses from selling the less harmful products was unconscionable, illogical, and indefensible. In a letter from the National Retail Association sent to government members and senators on Monday, Chief Executive Dominique Lamb said the prescription model was the worst of both worlds from a health and economic perspective. Health Minister Greg Hunt announced in June that nicotine-based e-cigarettes would be banned except where a person had a prescription from a doctor. The ban was initially meant to start in July, but has been delayed until January. The deliberate exclusion of family and small businesses being able to participate in the sale of these less harmful alternatives to cigarettes is unconscionable, illogical, and indefensible, says Ms. Lamb. It will disrupt market dynamics, detract from public health goals, and put the future sustainability of thousands of already struggling local, small, and family businesses at risk. It can only be concluded, given the community pharmacy opposition to vaping, that the regulatory reform proposal is, as progressed, will do nothing more than hand a virtual monopoly right to retail these products to a narrow cohort of highly concentrated big box pharmacy commercial interests. Big box pharmacy, including major chains such as Chemist Warehouse and Good Price Pharmacy. Ms. Lamb acknowledged small retailers felt morally uncomfortable with the revenue they earned from tobacco products and said their livelihoods often depended on it. There would also be unintended health consequences, Ms. Lamb claimed, with smokers wanting to switch from smoke-free alternatives first required to visit a GP to get a script. Now, I know that we already discussed this part, that there were only a handful of doctors that were able or willing or knowledgeable enough to write these prescriptions.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, there's still going to be that bottleneck if only a handful of physicians know how to or are willing to write these prescriptions. People, even if the infrastructure that we talked about that is not there was there at the pharmacy, well, nobody's going to be able to get a script.
It's not there, and to actually dispense nicotine, you have to be a compounding pharmacist. You have to know how to put together said compound, right? And it's quite funny. We know that pharmacists know how to measure out a drug, right? The other thing is there isn't a list of said preferred suppliers of the base nicotine. We don't know where it's coming from, where it's being sourced from, whether or not they're going to put a marker in it, whether or not they're going to be very smart and say, well, hang on a second, it's only nicotine. We'll just add all this other crap that's in your inhalers and crap into it. It'll taste like arse. No two ways on that one. It won't be the quality that we're used to here. We source nicotine from all over the globe, out of Poland, New Zealand, United States, China, Switzerland, UK, Canada even. Are they going to allow us to pick and choose or to actually give some form of structure to the TGA as to where said nicotine should come from? And you just saw the figure there, $300 million a year to the health budget that is going to slam when our health system's already being gutted left, right and centre by the current government. They're not helping us here. They're just trying to kill us earlier.
So Bruni says that Hunt wants people to actually have 12 months of seeing their doctor before they can even write the script. It's not like you can just go, I'm going to go to this doctor now and change doctors because he knows how to write the script. If he doesn't have a file on you that shows that he's been seeing you for at least a year, he can't write the script.
Correct. But on that, you have to prove that you've gone through the Chantix, the gums, the sprays, the patches, and some doctors are actually pushing for the hypnotherapy type situation.
I tried that; it didn't work.
No, it doesn't work.
Here's my next question. So, they're not going to be allowed to write you a script for maintenance therapy.
Maintenance therapy?
Yeah. So, for example, when the patches first were released in the United States, you could only have X amount of time on the patches.
Oh, right.
So they're gonna want a treatment protocol that starts at this NIC level, then goes to this NIC level, then goes to this NIC level, then no NIC level.
Well, if it's a prescribed
and it's
thing,
going to be on a timeline. It's not going to be a maintenance where you can go to 12 milligram and stay.
No. Well, I mean, who knows? That's the thing. There's so many unknowns. They've never done that with any of the patches or gums. They've had a step down program, but because patches and gums aren't prescription, you could just go and buy.
Well, when they were a prescription, though, there was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was you could only be on these patches for 6 months.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you couldn't get any more refills after that until the FDA here, at least, until the FDA here said, well, we're making, these guys are making a good amount of money and it's making, so let's take them off of the prescription pathway and throw them on OTC and people can just use them forever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what they did here.
I mean, for us in the States, at least, when it's written as a treatment protocol and it is not considered a maintenance drug, you can only be on it for a certain amount of time. You only can have so many refills before you're not allowed to have any more. So if they follow a treatment protocol and what would be considered a medical treatment protocol, then that drug is listed as a temporary item and you can't have it forever. So people like me that have been vaping for a decade and like 12 milligram and don't want to go any lower and enjoy how nicotine helps me with my mental focus and prevents me from like angry outbursts and it keeps me pretty chill and I'm happy where I'm at, I would be screwed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's
if that's how they handle it. I'm not saying that is how they're going to handle it, but that seems to be the protocol normally for these kinds of things until somebody says, but they already don't like nicotine. So I'm almost positive that they're going to say, well, there has to be a step down program. There has to be a starting point and an ending point. And then after that, everybody is supposed to be done. That's what I'm concerned about.
That's a big concern, obviously, along with the whole unknown side of it. Is if they do that option, then yeah.
Well, it was the Pharmacy Guild that actually wanted nicotine patches, sprays, and gums and everything moved across from the medical arena and brought openly.
It's because it didn't work
across the shelves, and it doesn't work, because they're making bank on this.
Yeah.
And
have you seen the price of a pack of regular gum and a pack of nicotine gum?
Yep.
One extra ingredient makes it 20 times as expensive.
Well, okay. This is actually a question to the manufacturers of Nicorette, GSK, GlaxoSmithKline. Why are you allowed to have fruity things and we're not? I like fruity things.
Well, I mean, Bill said it earlier, and I didn't highlight it, but he said, if you think that a nicotine ban is the end, you should probably double check, because if the nicotine ban is in place and people are still buying 0 nicotine or 0 milligram flavored product, how far away is a flavor ban?
I'm actually going to have to reach out to the Australian liquid manufacturers on that and ask, because if there's anything in the background on that one that has not been brought into play, or they actually want specific flavors only to go through the pharmaceutical route, how's that going to help? It's not. If they want tobacco only and maybe strawberry and watermelon and I don't know, apple.
You're not even going to a flavor ban. A flavor ban. That's it. I mean, if you're in California, you don't even get mint.
Yeah, I know.
So
it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
It depends on how much money the tobacco companies want to give them, and this is the sad part, is that the people that the Public Health Corporation claim that they're fighting are also donating money to the same politicians they are.
Yep. Well, that's what's going on here. Pharmacy Guild bet on the wrong horse the last time. They threw 770,000 in political donations in the last election, or in the last financial year. They bet on the wrong horse. They put it all into Labor, and Labor didn't win the election. And now we're stuck with these turkeys again for another. It's it's not even fair or funny. It really isn't.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's fucked up, is what it is.
It is what it is, guys. I mean, but our goal, like I said at the beginning of the show, is to get American support behind whatever it is that you guys need.
Yeah,
that's the thing, is to get as many soldiers in the trenches, and that means obviously we have a pretty decent active Twitter group that participate and retweet everybody's tweets and come up with new tweets for themselves, and that's what we need, in addition to obviously the lobbying, the TV commercial funding, all the things that you mentioned earlier are important.
Really important. And that's the thing, as much as it's a shitty thing to be just asking for your money, but that's the best way that people outside of our country can help us at the moment, is to fund ATHRA, so that we can get these lobbyists to continue their work within the system, because that's the big thing, is protests and petitions. They do a bit, but they're not how you really affect change within the government system. You've got to get in there and play by the system rules, and as corrupt and as fucked up as those rules are, that's the only way we're going to win this, is to get in there and actually play their game. And that's what ATHRA are doing with these lobbyists, with these campaigns. So yeah, if you can shell out $10, please chuck it in, guys, and we can hopefully beat this. We're in a strong position. We've got some real hope. But there's a lot of stuff that has to happen over the next month or so for us to win this.
So I'm throwing the links for ATHRA, the donations tab, as well as the Legalized Vaping Australia donation tab.
Is that the ATHRA tab from my video?
No, that's the ATHRA tab from the ATHRA website. Is there a different one?
Yeah, so I've put in our private chat.
I threw that one in earlier. I'll throw it back up now.
Yeah, so the link that I sent you in the chat, that one is for my particular waffle. So all you need to do is donate via that link, and every $10 gets you an entry.
Yep.
So yeah, if you want Bogan stuff.
Yeah, if you don't care about the stuff, then donate to ATHRA however you like. But if you want to go for the waffle.
If you want a chance to win that see, because there's a thing in there that I want, because I've been trying to get that 75 watt Delco mini thing.
Yoden, yeah.
They're kind of pricey for a 75 watt mod.
Dude, you get the 75C, you get the 250C, you get the fucking
I vape it like 20 watts max.
Yeah, that's what that's what I'm rocking right now. 20 watts at a point
max. And I have these big ass mods that hold 2 batteries that go to like 800 watts or whatever, and I'm like, what am I going to do with all these extra watts?
Yeah.
We're all on these things now, on the little mix.
Well, we're not all on them, but I do have one.
Mix is great. Mix is good.
And the Aries 2 rebuildable from my friend Dimitri.
Yeah, we've all gone back to mouth to lung. Well, Patrick's always stayed in mouth to lung.
I've never done anything but mouth to lung. I've been vaping 10 years, and I'm happy where I'm at. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of my goal is to not smoke. And I vape 12 milligram because 12 milligram is where I need to be. It makes me, that's what I want. And I don't need
off the durries. That's all that matters.
And I'll tell you now, I loved smoking. I've said this multiple times on the show. I smoked pipes. I smoked cigars. I liked, cigarettes. I enjoyed smoking. And if I don't have this, I'm going to go back to smoking cigars. I'm going to go back to smoking cigarettes. And, I didn't have any problem with going to the cigar bar and taking a bottle of booze and sitting there and smoking $20 worth of cigars in a couple hours with a couple, glasses of whiskey. I can easily go back to that. I know I would. I have a humidor full of cigars right now that I've, been maintaining for a decade. I mean, there are 10-year-old cigars in that fucking box.
Nice.
So
there'd be some good cigars in there now. I'll tell you that much.
They've got a nice plume on them right now, man. So the Padillas and the undercrowns and the things that I have in there, they got a nice frost of crystal on them, and the humidity is perfect. I could easily just grab one of those, grab a lighter, and go out in the back patio, but my wife would murder my ass. So
that works.
I don't do that, but she's like, "Why do you keep buying these packs?" I get the humidity packs to throw in them and make sure that. Why do you keep buying them? You're not smoking them. I said, I got a lot of money invested in those cigars, so I'm gonna keep
$1,000 worth, wouldn't it? Easily.
Well, there's a Gurkha in there that's a limited edition Gurkha from a decade ago that's just perfect.
Oh Christ! This is making me cringe. Going.
So this is why for the last 2 months I've been trying to perfect my cigar liquid. Is because I really miss a good cigar, and nobody in the fucking industry makes a cigar e-liquid that's worth a damn.
No.
Yeah, that's.
I'm saying that out loud. I know that there's people in the chat room that manufacture e-liquid that might have a cigar flavor. I've tried them all, and they all suck.
Well, you'll have to send Sam some of that because he's now getting into tobaccos through his MTL devices.
Oh,
So he'll be all over that.
Tobacco
I have-
for fucking years. Look at my Alpha and Omega bottle here, my man.
I've got 4
Yeah, I know.
prototypes right here.
I'm revving you up.
That's some well steeped tobacco.
I'm revving you up, Sam.
I've got 4 prototypes that I'm working on right now. So
He's got some, and
My
the other
mum-
one.
The one liquid, the funny is the liquid that got my mum to quit was a Caliburn with the V-God Cabana, a cigar liquid from V-God. It doesn't taste like a cigar. It's very sweet, it's quite caramelly, but it's what got my mum to fucking quit smoking.
and you know what? It's awesome e-liquid. But
it got her
not
off them, and and that just keeps her happy. She's happy on that. Tobacco-y enough, sweet enough, and smooth enough for her.
Well.
Oh, wow. I just got a message from someone over in Western Australia. They're being charged $45 a bottle for 30 mil.
Wow.
Of zero?
That's high.
Yeah.
Yeah, no nicotine in there either.
Yeah.
Shite.
So hang on.
Insane.
This
60
is
mil
all.
bottle's like $25.
Yeah, I know. This is, well, they're in a remote area of Western Australia, and it's $45 a bottle for 30 mils. And I'm like, what?
We need to go in business in Western Australia.
Yeah, let's get out to the remote.
Well, it's all the mining communities.
Yeah, cashed up miners.
Like, these boys have got money to burn.
That's fucking people over who just want to quit smoking.
Yeah.
Is what that is.
Yeah, he just sent me the message. He said, I'm watching the show, and he said, I just found a place that's selling $45 a bottle for 30 mils. And I went, what the fuck?
Yeah, that I'm sorry. I mean, that's a retailer. That's somebody. I don't know if it's a retailer. That's somebody trying to take advantage of the situation.
That's
I can remember, and I'm going to say this out loud to you guys because I don't volume vape. I vape, 7 milliliters of liquid in a day.
Yep.
I remember paying $30 for a 30 mil and not.
Oh yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember that. And it didn't bitch. I mean, I know that there was one very in demand e-liquid back in the day that was green and that everybody wanted it because it was unique. And they were paying like $1.30 a mil.
Yep.
And you had to be on a list to get it, but I didn't care for it, but other people did, and if it got people off, it got people off. But that sounds to me like Western Australia, dude. It sounds like somebody's fucking people over, as far as I'm concerned. That's it.
Well,
I mean, I would pay 30 for a 30 mil bottle, and it would be okay with me, and it would still be cheaper than smoking.
Yeah, but it'd have to be good.
But God, if you're one of those cloud chasers that chain vape, you could go through 30 mils pretty damn quick.
Well,
I know people that have vape shops that go through a 60 mil bottle every other day.
Well, no comment. When I was, me developing, I'd go through in excess of, 200 to 300 mil a week of liquids.
But you're doing flavor development and you're doing all sorts of other stuff,
Yeah. It was hard for me to actually go backwards to what I was used to, right, with higher power.
Now, was that Tabitha that you were talking to?
No.
Okay.
No, not Tabitha. No, this is a very good friend of mine, Trent Reed. And
Tabitha says that's for DIY or for DIY. That is, I don't know what that is about, but I thought that might have been 45. But yeah, DIY liquid should be even cheaper. If it's your friend that's making it, if it's not your friend, but
I'm going to have to put him in touch with some of the boys over in WA, Clouded Visions. Who else is over there? Buso Vape, some of the other liquid makers in WA.
Rudy
some of the
says
guys.
his script is he's only allowed 50 mils a week.
Excuse me?
That's what he said. My script is for 50 mils a week. So
50 mils a week of what milligram, Bruni? Fuck, they're already starting to put what milligrams and how much you can have per week.
I would
Come
imagine.
on.
Pippa says that she gets 100 to 200 mils, or at least that's what she's vaping during a stressed out week. But that doesn't, I don't know what her script says. Mine is a liter every 3 months at 12 milligram is what Michael says.
Oh, wow. My sister lives in North Perth. Her local vape shop sells nick-free liquids, and next door has a shop that sells devices. Also, illegally nicks people's liquids, but their 60 ml bottles are at least $60. What the fuck's going on here?
John,
Here we go again.
You just like dropped a dime on somebody in Northern Perth.
Fuck, here we go. Wow.
Now, see, we tagged Greg Cunt. Now he's gonna be sending out enforcement because he's, if he looks at the video, he's gonna see that John Barnes just dropped a dime on somebody.
Well, that's
and
not
and
good.
Bruni's at 6 milligram.
Well, yeah, I know what Bruni's on because, yeah. But 3 months.
Yeah.
Here's the question: Pippa, Bruni, anyone else, Vaping NT. How the fuck is this script system going to work? Honestly, how?
If there's no protocol, it's going to be each doctor trying to figure out and I don't want to say wild west, but it's going to be chaos. It's going to be chaos, and unless he talks to the pharmaceutical, unless he talks to the person at the pharmacy, and they work out some sort of system, it just sounds to me like it's half-assed because it wasn't conceptualized properly and it wasn't planned out properly, and they're going to throw this out there at the last minute. They're going to bump this deadline date up, or they're going to do something, and nothing is going to be implemented properly, and people are just going to give up. It's what it sounds to me like.
Yeah, Ron, I agree. The black market it's going to go absolutely out of control here in Australia if this goes through. Sam, this is a question, as a reviewer, are they going to try and shut you down reviewing?
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. I'm
going to ask Legion as well, like Steve. I'm going to ask all the reviewers here in Australia, because are they going to try and shut that side of the industry down as well?
Is that considered marketing?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is, it should fall under YouTube's policies and whatever. So it's more of a concern if YouTube was to change something. The Australian government trying to ban me would be a lot of effort for them for not. I don't think we have there's a huge interest in us, because we're very much the grassroots. We're talking to hobbyist vapors. We're not talking to the mass. So hopefully we don't attract any attention. Who knows? That's the thing. We just don't know what the government's going to do.
We already know that the Australian government demanded that Facebook limit certain content.
Yeah,
on Facebook to Australia. So I mean, what's to say?
It's absolutely a concerning possibility for sure.
Well, I don't know that they can prevent you from creating content, but they can prevent Australians from viewing that content.
Correct. They can geo-block us now, and they're doing it. Bill Tarling is a prime example. We've been trying to view certain documents and certain pages from around the world, and even through a VPN. And I've just switched VPNs now because they are geo-blocking content. And this is really good content regarding NRTs. It's a lot of data and stuff like that. A lot of the groups that I belong to, and I can't see certain web pages anymore because it's now on the banned list.
Yeah.
What dumbfounds me is do you have Australian dollars in your wallet?
No one has cash anymore. I don't think I've got any cash.
No. I've got cards. I've got a whole thing of cards.
Isn't the Queen of England on your money?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So the Queen of England is on your money, which means that the Australian people must still like hold some sort of respect and honor to the Queen of England, right?
Not really.
Why the hell is she on your damn money then? I'm trying to make a point here.
We're not a republic. We're not a republic.
But why is she on your money then?
Because technically the Queen is still our head of state, even though her role has been transferred to a person called the Governor General, who really does nothing.
Okay, so but my point is still valid. The Queen of England rules over the UK, rules over England, and in Public Health England and the Royal College of Physicians in England,
it should be something that we
are
take note
promoting vaping in their country, and you guys are, it makes no sense to me. If she's on your fucking money, you would think they would respect what's going on. You guys might be considered a colony still or whatever, but it doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
So when the Commonwealth Games happen every year, only countries like Australia and Fiji, Canada, they're allowed to participate in the Commonwealth Games because we're still technically part of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense to me that one part of the Commonwealth is promoting this fucking product.
Why are we not following England's lead with their approach to vaping?
So, we need to find somebody who can dress up like the Queen of England, and make a video of her.
I decree that vaping in Australia shall be legalized, and all citizens shall have access to nicotine liquid.
And Greg Cunt should go to hell.
Yeah. Jump off a ruddy roof, you prick.
I mean, I'm sure that somebody in Australia can pull off a Queen Elizabeth impersonation with the right get up. We need to get that. We need to make that happen.
Dame Edna could do it.
Barry Humphries.
Yeah.
Barry's not here anymore in Australia.
I know, Barry's gone.
He's gone. He's left Australia.
Possums.
So
for anybody watching doesn't know who Barry Humphries is, he was a very funny Australian comedian who dressed up as a woman he named Dame Edna. She had these like big coloured glasses that swept up, like the angel kind of wing things. And she talks like this: "Hello, possums, darlings," and all this sort of shit. It was quite.
She made many American TV appearances.
Yeah, she would have been on like your David Lettermans and stuff like that.
Yeah. Actually, I found a picture of her as.
Oh God, here we go.
As the queen.
As the queen. Here we go. Surely, yeah.
Let me get this. Oh my God, it's too small. Let me zoom. Let me rub it. I got to make it bigger. All right, I rubbed it. All right, there.
There you go. That's fucking brilliant.
So we need to get. Oh, you know what? There is an app. They have an app for everything. There's an app where you can actually, adjust people's facial expressions and make the mouths move. We just need somebody to do the voice.
You've just given me a really weird idea.
You with a weird idea? No.
That's pretty normal.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, we could cause absolute chaos with that picture.
Well, that's like my middle fucking name.
Yeah, I know. But that would be funny as hell. We could do some absolute damage with that one. Yeah, Barry Humphries is a very smart man. And all the characters that Barry Humphries brought to the table, unbelievable with what he did.
All right, so okay, let's do a wrap up. Let's do okay, so somebody abbreviate or condense down what the fuck is going on.
Off you go, Sam.
All right. Probably the easiest way to me to do that would be just to go through some of Colin's. I did this the other day on the other live show, so shout out to Colin Mendelsohn from Athra. gave me a few sort of dot points. So basically, we anticipate that the Greg Hunt will continue to push ahead with his plan to ban nicotine imports and move to a doctor pharmacist prescription type system. We anticipate that to be announced, tomorrow, sort of thing. At that point, the Select Committee on Tobacco Harm Reduction has been proposed and will vote on the approve it in the Senate. So that's going to be in October, most likely. The good thing about this committee is it's chaired by Holly Hughes and Matt Canavan, who are two of the MPs that are actually pro-vaping. So Canavan's been very pro-vaping. And so this should be quite positive in terms of that select committee. However, the Lung Foundation, as I mentioned earlier, has been sending out fact sheets to MPs, deliberately misleading them and sending all sorts of, bogus material about what vaping does. So that's a big concern, and why that campaign from ATHRA is so important, because these politicians are being fed lies from places like the Lung Association. They need to see TV advertising, billboards, radio telling them the truth. So that's a big part of what that's going to do. And then there's the cabinet reshuffle in October, which we've already talked about. In that, hopefully, one of the key wins for us will be that Greg Hunt will most likely be moved on from the position as health minister, because he's had that for 4 years, and most of the time they don't keep them going after a 4-year period. They reshuffle and move people on. So that will, and that's the word that we've had from the government, from inside the government, from the lobbyists that are, inside that system, is that Prime Minister Scott Morrison doesn't want this problem. This is a problem that Greg Hunt has created. It's not a problem that has spurred up from public opinions. It's not like the public are saying, there are people getting sick from nicotine, you've got to ban it. The public doesn't give a shit. And so this is a kicking of the hornet's nest that's been done by Greg Hunt for no real reason. So the government, and from what we understand, is that Scott Morrison doesn't see why we should be stirring up all this trouble and wants it to go away. So hopefully he moves Greg on. There's also another key sort of positive in that New South Wales MP Michael Johnson is basically campaigning to legalise vaping in New South Wales. So on a state level, there's some movement within the state system or the state government over in New Zealand to legalise vaping, and that's obviously only going to help push our cause as well. So there's a few things, as well as Bob Katter's party up in Queensland, or is he Northern Territory? Paul, is he Queensland? He's Queensland, yeah.
Katter, Queensland.
Queensland. He's in support of vaping. Bob will generally support anything that gets him attention. Loves the spotlight and to kick up a bit of a think. So hopefully we can get all of these politicians that are pro vaping to meet, and push back on this, as well as get a bunch more of these politicians that aren't already aware with this, campaign to become aware and say, no, this isn't right. So yeah, it's there's definitely some real hope, but it's going to take a lot of work. That kind of gives you the wrap up. So until tomorrow, we don't know exactly what our next move is, apart from obviously getting as much money as we can for this campaign. But tomorrow will really be when the rubber hits the road and we get this official handing down from the government. So, stay on your social medias, and as soon as you hear those calls to action to start phoning and emailing, please do, or even just do it right now.
So I'm throwing everybody's Twitter back up. So that's me, Kevin, Paul, Bogan, ATHRA, and Legalize Vaping, and I threw in the no nicotine one just because we love Aaron, and we want that movie to be as successful as possible. So if you're not already following us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, because when shit starts happening, you need to see what's going on so that you can retweet. You can read the content if you're Twitter savvy and you are able to create your own tweets, create new tweets, share and retweet. See, this is something that you guys, a lot of people don't quite understand. The more times somebody, even if it's a retweet of an existing tweet,
that
target, the person that's added in those tweets, gets another alert.
Just keep retweeting.
Just retweet. I mean, I love getting likes on tweets, but the value is the retweet. I mean, the whole point is that we want this guy to know, we want all these people to know that we're targeting in these tweets how many people out there are activated and paying attention to what's going on. So retweets are important. Plus, anytime you retweet something that Paul or Bogan or I or anybody else on your list tweets, your followers get to see it, and then they'll pick up the baton and march with it too. So the whole idea is to not only get likes. I mean, we all feel warm and fuzzy when somebody likes us, but it's that retweet that's extremely valuable. We need these people to know that there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are paying attention, and they don't necessarily know where you are. So if Mike Cunt or Greg Cunt gets the a lot of alerts, he's not going to sit there and go, okay, where's this person from? Where's this person from? Where's that person from? I don't think that he believes that a whole bunch of people that don't live in Australia are paying attention to this situation. And, we're going to take that. I mean, we're going to use that as a weapon on our own behalf. If a whole bunch of people retweet something, that's great. That gets attention, that gets action. That's what we want. Don't just, I mean, like I said, it's nice getting people to like stuff, but we really need retweets. We really need movement. We really need more tweets hitting the same people that we're hitting. Finding articles like that Australian article that I shared on screen a while ago. I just retweeted that because I'm going to put that in my saved folder. And when it comes time to start hitting these people with information, I'm going to hit them without. I'm going to hit them with all sorts of other vaping stuff that's relevant. Yeah. We need these guys to understand that people are fucking watching, and we're going to hold them accountable.
Yes, sir. Exactly right.
All I can say is the war drums are now beating. We can hear the war drums. We started.
We got 70,000 signatures on the petition that essentially pushed back the last attempt in June. We got that in like a week. 70,000 signatures in a week. So there are heaps of people out there that are willing to put up their hand and fight. And it doesn't take much. Pick up the phone, make a phone call to your member of parliament, to Greg Hunt, to take a moment to email. Doesn't matter. If everybody does this, and we need to do it over the next month consistently, these phones just don't stop ringing. There's no point in having everybody ring on one day. If you can remember to ring once a day, and just tell them.
Yeah, and hey, you don't have to tweet constantly, but every day or so, I tweet.
Just retweet other people's shit. Absolutely. Yeah. Even if you can't be bothered coming up with your own tweet, you don't need to be original, plagiarize, and just retweet our shit. Absolutely.
Yep. Paul?
Well, the war drums are now beating. We did it the last time. This time, it's a little bit more serious. We push back. We pushed back the first time. This time, we're playing for keeps.
Yeah.
We're going to load the cannons. We're going to raise the sails, and the vaping community from around the world is going to get involved in this. The two, you look at my Twitter. I'm followed by a lot of very, very influential people in the THR space, tobacco harm reduction. Trust me. Once we get a copy of this draft, there'll be PDFs thrown up all over Twitter, and we'll be going through it with a fine-tooth comb and calling out the bullshit that is actually being written in it. We we can't see this working. And this is from someone, myself, a manufacturer, developer. This has also stifled my development process with the United States and the PMTA process.
Yeah.
That stopped me. That stopped me dead in my tracks. And that's why I said to you, Sam, is this going to put you on the back foot? Are they going to try and shut down, actual reviewers of products?
Potentially.
We don't know. We do not know. If they start geo-blocking and then the 1st of October, when the new media rules come into play, we don't know what's going to happen here. What? Yeah. So we're just going to be left in a dark room like a mushroom and, just fed a whole lot of shit. Well, no, it won't happen. We'll find ways to break out and put the news out there for people, give them the facts and ask for help. That's all we can do right now. But until tomorrow, and when tomorrow hits, trust me, Twitter will look like World War III here in Australia. No, I mean it.
We're going to see the bodies stacked like cordwood.
That's it.
Look, I'm taking names this time. I'm taking names, email addresses, phone numbers, and there's going to be one hell of a list. And if we can actually mount a legal argument or challenge to this, it's going to have to happen. And I thank all the manufacturers, vendors, online people here in Australia that have been putting in the hard work behind the scenes. I thank you, Sam, for actually putting up some of the best prizes I've seen. Because fuck me, I'd love number one cereal. I'd love number one serial numbers of everything, just for my collection, just for shits and giggles. But the thing is, we shouldn't have had to get to the point of team free shit to actually get things done here in Australia.
We shouldn't. Unfortunately, it is. So donate, motherfuckers. Win yourself some free shit.
That's fair. But as a very good friend of mine said the other day in a phone call I had, and I haven't spoken to this person in quite some time, and he's been following it. He said, Australia isn't as free as I thought it was once was.
No.
He said, you're living under tyranny. You have a government that does not care about the people. It's profit before the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, correct. He said, well, you can always come and live here. Not a problem. And trust me, since Corona has happened here in Australia, once upon a time it was a good beer, now it's a virus.
It was never a good beer.
Oh, well, it depends. Well, that's another conversation for another day.
I mean, we know that Foster's is Australian for beer, so,
No, it's not. It's fucking bathwater. The thing is, I've even heard from friends, they're talking about as soon as the borders start opening up, they want to go to New Zealand, they want to go to Canada, they want to go Germany, they want to go to the UK. They don't want to stay here anymore. Australia was once, huh?
Don't come here right now.
Why?
We got our own problems. We're gonna have to deal with some shit first.
Yeah, but I might like to go over there and fuck shit up even further. More fun.
Yeah, we got an orangutan in chief that's already fucking shit up, but then we got an Alzheimer's patient running for the other party. So
yeah,
I might be moving to the Philippines.
The world is a really strange place at the moment, but please, anyone that hears this, try and help wherever you can. Get onto Twitter. Get on to any form of social media that you might be on. Share our podcasts. Share anything.
Buy some tickets on that Athra page when you donate money for that thing Bogan's doing.
Do it.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of money. $10 is not a lot of money. And it can go. American dollars go a long way in Australia. So
yeah, dude, your $10 Australian is really only about 6 or 7 American.
So you can buy 2.
Almost.
You can buy 2 tickets for $14 or so. And A, you're helping, and B, you might get to be one of the 5 people that win those amazing things. You know, before I leave, I don't have a whole lot of like number 1 things, but I do have a number 1 of 1 hand engraved House of Hybrids koi mod.
There you go.
You know,
with the kabuki.
That's gorgeous.
With a kabuki topper.
Yeah.
I know that I show that to Paul all the time, and he says, "Fuck you, dickhead." And I do have a one of a kind, murdered out, unnumbered House of Hybrids Kabuki 18350 mod. There's only one of these on the entire planet Earth.
That's cool.
So I have that.
That's a little nicer than the Bonza kit.
I'm not waffling this stuff off. These are my prized material possessions. So Bruni says that $10 Australian is $6.71 American.
There you go.
So
$13.
Bruni did the math for you. So making a donation to Australian advocacy gets them something, and it could get you something. So it's important that we stand up with our brothers and sisters all over the world. Australian advocates have been fighting on every front with us. Tim came from Australia to the United States to the vape rally in DC and spoke. Like, we stand together. We're stronger together than we are apart, and we should be fighting with them when they fight with us. And it's not a quid pro quo, but we need to be standing up for vapors all over the world.
Yes,
because vaping here, if we don't help them, and they go down the wrong path, they're just going to get to the end before us, because we're going to go fucking down the wrong path too. And I'm not willing to sit by and do nothing while this happens. I gave up a perfectly good, boring Monday to come in here and speak to you guys, and to educate and inform, and hopefully get some of my American friends, and on the podcast later. We have listeners all over the world that listen to our show. We're not fucking messing around anymore. I will repeat my invitation to any international advocate that has time, a webcam and a microphone, to come on Smoke Free Radio and have a show and educate the people around the world about what's going on in your countries. I don't care if you do it in English, but if you do it in English, I can actually pay attention and watch. But there are people all over the world that are interested in finding out what the hell's going on in India. Those guys are still fighting. They can't fucking vape. In Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Germany, all over the world, there are these same fights are happening. And I think that we need everyone to understand this is not just an American thing. This is not just an awesome thing. This is a fucking worldwide pogrom, or jihad against vaping.
Yeah.
That's going to cause mischief. That's going to cause mischief.
A crusade. I'll throw another holy war in there. A crusade. We'll do the crusades too. This is not just us. This is everybody. So anyway, we're not doing final thoughts. We're not doing any of that bullshit. I did just edit the video, so we're gonna go out with our traditional video. You guys pay attention to what's going on, because what's going on in other places is going to happen here. And I appreciate it and love you guys for coming out on a Monday night and paying attention. Let's just kick some ass. So anyway, thanks, Bruno. Thanks, Paul. Thanks everybody in the chat room. Love you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for shedding light on the fight.
We might actually have another special show this week, because Tony Abood wants to come on and talk about what VTA is doing. If that happens, you'll see the the show schedule pop up on all of our medias. If not, we'll see you on Friday. So be good, stay out of trouble, and peace.
Peace, guys.
Yeah. First, the big money behind vaping are not the mom.
You know, that fucking thing didn't work. I should never edit on the fly again. So anyway, love you guys. Bye.
Take care.